Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. I hope you're doing great. Mrs. Kunkelman has asked me to quickly just kind of go over some finer aspects of how to come up with a circle graph, okay? I know you guys have a project coming up. I believe it has something to do with World War II, and so we want to be able to correctly configure or put together a circle graph, and I'm just going to go over the just little points here that will help you do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is this. Most of you have mapped out certain percentages based on something, okay? And so let's say that you have 32% for something, okay? So I'm just going to write that down, 32%, okay? Sorry, my screen's a little bit off, so that's 32%. Now, if I wanted to figure out what degree or what angle measurement that would actually be on a graph, I can convert this percentage to a fraction, so 32 out of 100, okay? And then I can actually make a proportion out of this where I can solve for the degrees. So 32 out of 100, 32% is what degree out of 360 degrees, okay? And so if you can work that out, you can figure out what the actual degree of the angle that's formed at the center of the circle graph, so you can put together that circle graph. So if I work this out, if you remember from your days in algebra and pre-algebra, if we cross multiply here, oh, for some reason that's not working right. Oh, there it goes, okay. 100x is equal to 360 times 32, let's see here, times 32, 11,520, okay. So if I divide through by 100, the degree that we're looking for is 115.2 degrees. So in all honesty, we're just looking at 115 degrees, okay. So how do I go ahead and put that on my graph? Well, most of you probably have a handy-dandy compass around. If not, you can come down and get one from me. But if I go ahead and pull up my compass tool, there it is, okay. All right, and I can go ahead and mark out my circle, okay. It'll be important that we go ahead and identify where the center of our circle is at as well. Otherwise, we don't know where to draw our angle from. But once we have that, we can go ahead and map out the degrees. So as I go ahead and use my protractor here, maybe I'll make this a little bit smaller. I think you guys can all see it okay. Okay. But if I want to do 115 degrees, okay, there's 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 90, 100, 110, 120. So 115 would be out in here. So I'm just going to make a little mark out in here, okay, and maybe a little mark at 0, okay. And then I can just go ahead and draw on that angle, get my straight edge here. Where is it at? Where's my ruler? There it is, okay. And then you just go ahead and connect those here and over to here. A lot of times maybe you'll shade in that area. Okay, but this right here is 32%, okay, of your graph. Okay, if you think of 180 degrees being 50%, okay, it makes sense that that would be 32, right? About 60% of that half graph. Okay, and again, that's equal to 115 degrees. Okay, just to make sure we have this down, I can go ahead and do one more with you just to make sure that we understand all this. So if I was to say, okay, another percentage of breakdown that maybe I want to use, let's say I want to use, let's say 20%. Okay, well 20% is 20 out of 100, right? Okay, and I can set that equal to what degree out of 360. Okay. If we go ahead and cross multiply here, here, and here, you have 100x is equal to 7,200. Divide through by 100 and you have 72. Okay. So if I want to, do 72 degrees off of that, well, I can take my compass here, or my protractor here. Again, I'm putting it at the center. I'll go ahead and rotate that so that my 0 is on the side of the sector. Okay, so this portion of the circle graph, this piece of pie, as I might refer to it in geometry, it's called a sector. Okay, and so if I go ahead and add another 72 degrees onto that, 40, 50, 60, 70, we're out right about right in there. Okay, so I made a little dot right there, and now I can go ahead and connect from the center to that point right there. And that is 72 degrees, which is also 20%. Okay, so to make sure that this graph makes sense to you, if you look, 32 and 50, well, that's or 32 and 20, that's 52%. So we're just slightly greater than half. Here's the halfway mark of our graph, and so I hope that all makes sense to you. If it doesn't, you can come down and see me. Obviously, I think there's probably other people in your class that might have picked up on what we just talked about. So good luck making your circle graphs and finishing up your project. Have a great day.